clips the wings of the Sea Eagles. Luke Brooks makes a point by winning the game for the Tigers. And the ANZAC Day Rumble as Melbourne outscore the Warriors 7-1. Yes, hello and welcome to the Sideline Chat podcast, the one-stop shop for rugby league. Along with Mark Hendry, I'm Colin Marcellus, and today it is your NRL Week 8 debrief. And we start off all the action today with the Brisbane Broncos playing host to the Cronulla Sharks.
Yes, Sharkies 1-17. There's only one change with Dale Finucane coming back, with McInnes going to the bench and Brian Tyndall dropping out.
And only one change. Well, actually, there is no changes for the Brisbane Broncos. Kevin Walters opting to name the same 17 that downed the Canterbury Bulldogs last week. And speaking of that downing, they ended up winning 34 points to 14. But I tell you what, the Broncos were not there at all for the first 50 minutes.
No, they weren't. It looked like Dogs were absolutely in control of that match. And I was actually thinking, oh, here we go, upset coming along here. But ultimately, the Bulldogs fell asleep.
The second time in 2 weeks that the Bulldogs get the first try on the board and look to control the game early. And I got to tell you what, the Fox on fire. Let's trot, baby.
Yeah, let's trot indeed. 2 tries.
Just absolute beautiful ball movement, both from Matt Burton and I think it was Aaron Schopp that helped set up the first try for the Fox.
He did. He had a rip of a game too, Aaron Schopp. He was getting a lot of ball and trying to score himself and make meters downfield, and he did stay up Josh Adokar.
The resilience the Dogs had shown, considering they had lost up to 4 players earlier in the week because COVID, and then some of the debutants that actually played that game, Jacob Carraz, bloody hell, he looked likely every time he touched the ball.
He was just unlucky. I thought he was going on for a try at some point during the match. But
believe me, I was thinking the same thing. And then there was Billy Sorikas off the bench. I thought he was very solid through the middle. And of course, when you got big dominant forwards like Thompson, Pangai Jr. and Jackson to keep your eye.
He did make a few errors, but I mean, it's your first game. You're not going to expect miracles in your first game.
Well, ever. 8 for 86 running in meters he had in the first half. No tackle breaks, and I believe it to be... He's just bringing up the match stat. That's right now. Oh, well, 1 ineffective tackle, but by all accounts, didn't miss a single tackle.
Well, that's a good start.
Oh, that was Max King stats I'm looking at.
Get your person right, Connor.
Forgive me, I have not been my best. Yeah, no offloads and no tackle breaks. But 7 hit-ups there. But I was just left gawking. And I mean gawking in disbelief when up 14 points to 6. I mean, sure, Corey Oates, we fell for the fact that he did that huge wraparound. But for the final 25 minutes, I was like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Exactly.
I mean, seriously, what did I just watch?
A Broncos dominant performance. What didn't help?
Where was their performance? They were asleep for almost an hour, and it was in the final 20. That's like, oh shit, we better actually start playing some football here.
An absolute dominant performance in the second half. The Bulldogs is when I fell asleep in the second half. What didn't help was Kyle Flanagan missing 2 goals.
But regardless of him missing 2 goals, this is what happened. Adam Reynolds, out of nowhere, sparking 1 try, 3 try assists, 94 run meters, 1 goal line dropout, 2 offloads, 5 from 6 goals converted, and then Selwyn Cobbo, a further 2 tries for him, and that crazy final try assist for Reece Kennedy with 4 to go when it was all over.
Yeah.
Where was that? Where did that come from?
Out of the blue, literally out of the blue. I don't know what happened there.
It was just like, I was like watching Mind Freak. It seriously felt like,
Yeah, it was a bit like that. It's like, oh yeah, Dogs are in control, they're going to go on with it. But as you said, Brisbane, out of nowhere, I was like, well, hang on a second, what's just happened here? It just went on with it.
It beggars belief to find out how that happened. It genuinely does.
Yeah.
And then it's the exact same story, but in the reverse, with their opponents, 34-22 winners in the end, but they were 32-0 up at half time.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what am I watching? Who are these guys?
Exactly. It was like, Sharks were up, like you said, 32-0. Manly were absolutely nowhere. And then come the second half, it was all Manly, barring one penalty goal, basically on full time to the Sharkies.
It took the Sharks 1 minute to get the first try on the board.
Well,
It took them 14 to score the next 4. Four
True.
tries in 14 minutes they scored.
yeah.
And that's when the man of the match literally shut the gate right on the siren of half time. Sifa Talakai, 2 tries, 3 try assists, 262 running meters, 8 tackle breaks, and 3 line breaks.
He is a man on a mission.
He
is in
is the
incredible
form
form.
centre of the Premiership. Right now,
Centre/second rower.
right now, he is a form centre of the Premiership. Joey Manu ain't got shit on him at the moment.
No.
And that's saying a lot. Because
It
Manu
is.
is regarded as the best centre. But right now, it's black, blue, and white
Yeah.
that is dominating everything.
So what did Talakai do? He scored 2 tries. He set up tries. He can kick. He didn't
He
take
can
a
kick.
He didn't take a conversion. That's a field goal. That's pretty much all he didn't do.
Well, to be fair, Manly fought their way back, but we'll touch more on that. But right now, this is where it gets very spicy. Katoni Staggs called out Talakai after that game.
He did.
He called him out.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting heading into this match. Head to head.
I think he's just bitten off more than he can chew. You got to spit gum and walk at the same time. And I feel like looking at the two sides right here, the Sharks are absolute monsters.
Well, Talakai, who's a pretty decent body himself, up against Staggs, who's a decent build, but like nowhere near as big as Talakai. I think I know who's going to win that battle.
The Broncos fell asleep for the first 50 minutes in the game. And that same period of time, the Sharks ran in 6 tries against the Sea Eagles. If the Sharks do that shit again, Cronulla's going to put the foot down on them hard, and they're not going to let up.
No, not at all. And the Sharks' first try against Manly didn't help because of Cherry Evans slipping over in his own in-goal off the kickoff. But, yeah, it was... The Sharks come out of nowhere, or didn't come out of nowhere. They were blitzing Manly in the first half, and then the last, 25 minutes for the Brisbane Jettas blitzed the Dogs.
I got to give it to the Sharks. I think they win this. I'm going to say 7. I was going to say 13 plus initially, but I felt like the Broncos might stage some sort of resistance. So I'm going to say the Sharks win this one 7-12. And my tip, Talakai runs over the top of Staggs to score a try at some stage.
Well, the key matchup for me is, like you said, Staggs and Talakai. That's the key matchup there. It was good to see Tamari Martin back last week.
Hell yeah.
He put in I know he looked like he was going to score a try or 2, but it's good to see him back. But in this match, I'm going to say Sharks win by 14 points, with Talakai scoring 3.
The running game of the Sharks is just going to grind the Broncos into the ground. I think there's no prettier way of looking at it. What we saw against Manly, I think they back it up against Brisbane right here.
And Talakai's offload to Mulatalo to get his second try. That was just something else.
Oh, that was something else. And for Mullet, you're absolutely right. It was something else. Now, moving on to Friday night, it's the Gold Coast Titans playing host to the Penrith Panthers. The Panthers 1-70 in once again with Sony Luke retained on the interchange, with Brian To'o still at least 1 week away.
As for the Titans, there have been a few changes with AJ Brimson taking over from Osaka at fullback. Will Smith going to 5'8", with Philip Sami back on the wing. Herbert returning to the centre with David Fafita going back to the forwards, with him returning to the second row. Proctor is to the bench and Jared Wallace to reserves, while Fodawaker is named to start, with Jermaine Jolliffe out with a calf injury, with Tanner Boyd and Herman SA on the bench.
This was a complete contrast between both the home and the away side because, of course, the Panthers' absolute first-class performance against the Canberra Raiders, running out 36-6 winners, whilst the Titans manhandled by the North Queensland Cowboys 30-4.
Yeah, look, both the opponents, like as in Gold Coast and the Raiders, were nowhere in that match, nowhere at all. Both were dominated, like Penrith dominated the whole match, and so did the Cowboys against the Gold Coast. So I expect much the same for this one by Penrith.
20 minutes in, you would be forgiven for thinking the Canberra Raiders were a chance after Tarpany levels the scores on the 17th minute mark. That's where it ends for the Raiders. Because what happens next is just what has really been defined now as classic Penrith football.
Yeah.
Once you let one try in, you compound it by allowing another 4 to be conceded against you. And I got to say, I did not like the way the Canberra Raiders played whatsoever.
No.
It was bad enough that Corey Horsburgh was chewing gum during the minute's silence.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Why? If I was Ricky Stewart and I had myself right next to Corey Horsburgh, the moment that ends, the moment nobody's looking, I'm throwing a chair at him just for that. I am literally kicking a chair right into him just for that. I'm just like, no, you do not chew gum during the minute's silence to commemorate the veterans.
Yeah. I have to say, though, that every game, there was not a single sound in the minute silence across every single match.
Well, I think the only sound that was heard of the Broncos Bulldogs was the one under that idiot getting punched to the ground.
No, wasn't that a Sharks match?
Nope. Broncos Bulldogs.
Well, there you go. I thought it was a Sharks Manly match. Anyway, but yeah. Besides, we probably would have had one too many drink, too. But yeah. But other than that, every single game was dead silent for that 1 minute. I love ANZAC Ground. It gives me goosebumps every single time. I know we're going off topic here, but every single time the ceremony goes on at the end of the start of each match, I get goosebumps.
Stephen Crichton, once again a standout performer for the Panthers. 3 tries, 111 running meters, 5 tackle breaks, 2 line break assists. Could have scored a hat-trick clean out if it wasn't for the ill discipline of the Canberra Raiders. But I don't know what they've got to do. I mean, Ricky was basically like, oh, you know what? I'm just done with this. But
yeah,
what can he do? How did he turn this ship around to the fact that they got dominated in line breaks, tackle breaks, runs, run meters, average set distance, and then we found out in defense, only 2. Well, really, they couldn't defuse half of the bombs that went up their way. They conceded 4 goal line dropouts. It's 34 missed tackles, 15 of them ineffective, despite having nearly 90% in effectiveness. 8 errors, 11 penalties, 2 ruck infringements, and 1 for inside the 10. So that's 3-6 against. Yeah. And it's conceded right there. And 1 on report.
Yeah. Maybe I'm going to say this. The Raiders might have looked a completely different side if Jamal Fogarty had been playing.
Well, I don't think we can say for certain that Fogarty would turn Titans side. I'm sorry, Raiders side around.
I know we can't be for certain, but I'm saying if he was there, we could be seeing a different Canberra side because he would have taken control of the kick in and White would have been more running with the ball. But I could be wrong. It's just what I think could have happened.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the equation, you've got the Titans who decided to play David Fafita at right centre due to injuries, and he concedes 4 tries, scored. All of the tries the Cowboys scored, they go down his edge.
Well, of course they've got to target him because he's way out of position.
I mean, that's what the Cowboys' plan was, and that plan worked.
It worked very, very well.
That left edge of North Queensland found a groove. Scott Drinkwater, he slided through unopposed.
Yeah.
Unopposed.
And for playing his third game this season, he's gone in good form.
Third game, and they've now got 2 wins because of him.
Yeah.
I mean, last week against a couple of weeks back against Canberra was more important because he set up the match-winning try.
Yeah.
But this one, he had his influence. First with the Taulagi try, with the ricochet rabbit for the try assist, and then going through off the scrum untouched, just put the game beyond doubt. At 16-4, the Titans did not look likely of scoring a try in the second half whatsoever.
No, they certainly didn't.
And then you got my man out of the match, Jeremiah Nanai. 1 try, 81 run meters, 1 tackle break, 1 offload, 9 hit-ups, and he literally had a 0-to-hero moment.
Yeah. He went to the sin bin, come back on, and scored. Literally, when he come back on, he scored.
Remarkable performance from
and he
Jeremiah
scored,
Nanai.
He scored 7 tries.
This year, 4 of them have now come off kicks.
And I think he scored basically nearly a try every match.
But the Titans, they just did not look likely whatsoever, and I hope Justin Holbrook never plays for Feature-Off in the centres again.
No, I think that was like a last-minute call. That was really a desperate move. He really had no...
And he's really swung the axe here. I think Jermaine Asako had been unlucky to get the axe here, but I think, what do you do? What do you do when you're coming off a 6 try to 1 hiding?
Yeah. Well, Brimson back at fullback, and he was supposed to be moved into the halves this season.
Well, Jaden Campbell, there's still a chance of being there, because he has been included in the reserves.
True.
But I just think the Panthers, once again, they'll just be too strong on for this Gold Coast side. I'm predicting 13 plus for the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm going to say Penrith to win by 30 points. They're just going to be destroying the Titans left, right, and down the middle.
Yeah, it's just going to be another ugly performance. Now, to Gosford for the South Sydney Rabbitohs and the Manly Sea Eagles.
For Manly, Martin DePaul is back and Sean Kepi are also back, with Andrew Davies sideline and Sipley reverting to the bench. Ola Kawatu is out with suspension and Pasika is also out. So Ben Travojevic and Kurt DeLewis are in, and Ethan Bullimore moving from the bench to the starting side. And Koala comes into the starting side with Harper left out.
In the couple of changes with South Sydney, Tane Milne has been suspended for at least a game, so Isaiah Tass gets a start in the centres. And with no Jacob Host due to a shoulder injury, Saliva Havili has been drafted in. But I've got to tell you what, Manly rallied in the second half against the Sharks, but they looked unlikely, whereas South Sydney, heartbreaking circumstances, going down to the West Tigers 23-22 in a boil-over performance.
It was a really competitive match of football, and it was like try for try.
Oh, hell yeah, it was try for try. It definitely was.
And having the sin bin from each side as well did help.
The fact that the Rabbitohs managed to score when they had the numerical disadvantage, I find that absolutely remarkable. The Bunnies through Alex Johnston managed to cross when they were down to 12.
Well, so did Cody Walker. Tana Mill went off in the 9th minute.
So they scored 2 tries before I was down to 12. That is absolutely remarkable.
And the Tigers didn't manage at all. They scored on the 8th and then the 22nd. So either side of Mill getting put in the bin, they scored, but not when they were one-man advantage. And like I said, this is a more and more occurring thing. The team that's got a player in the bin tend to score points when they've got a lesser man advantage. It's starting to become more of a regular occurrence.
Yeah, but luckily the Tigers were able to rally, and it looked like with 15 minutes to go, they had the game sealed.
It looked like that. But in reality, it quite wasn't there.
I'd tell you what, your heart's in your mouth for the Tigers, especially when Koala Matangi locks the scores up with 9 minutes to go, and the Tigers thought they would have been home at 22-60. In Starford Toa, but really it belonged to David Norfoluma this game as the Tigers' greatest ever try scorer. 2 tries, 140 running meters, 6 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, and key, a 1-on-1 strip.
Yes, that was a very key moment there, right there, and it paid off for him. Although I have to say, the field goal from Luke Brooks, this time not Jackson Hastings, had a little bit more time to spare. Had around about a minute to go compared to 10 seconds. But it's good to see the Tigers winning 2 in a row. But they can't always win by 1 pointers, though.
Well, you can. I think there's probably a record for someone winning the most amount of games by a field goal as of late.
True.
I don't know if we have that stat available right now, but I definitely think there is something along those lines.
If the Tigers are on the roll, they can't keep winning by 1 point for the rest of the season if they want to make playoffs.
The fact that they have now first stuck it to Parramatta, who everyone seemed likely as a top 4 contender, and then the Rabbitohs in consecutive weeks. Madge ain't playing at the moment. Well, I mean, you play the sport, yeah, sure, but there isn't dicking around for the Tigers anymore.
Well, when he, I'm going to say, swung the axe for the game against Parramatta, making that raft of changes, that worked.
Oh, it worked.
And it worked again this week. Because he stuck with the same 17 from against Parramatta to this one against South, and it worked.
Now, yeah, it definitely worked, and we'll touch on more of it when they face the Dragons. But here, I really don't know. This is a game that can really go either way, given these two sides' recent performances. Most recent.
Exactly. And there's a name circling in the reserves that could come into the side later this week by Josh Schuster.
Yep, it has been included in the reserves, and I feel like they're just setting up a troll with Ben Trbojevic right here. I honestly feel like if anyone's going to make way for Schuster, it will be Trbojevic.
I hope not, because I know Trbojevic is named in the 15, but Walker's named in the 14. But Walker can play fullback in the as of late in the forwards.
Fullback, centre, 5'8", but in the middle, as he's played of late.
But Trbojevic can now play in the back line.
Centre, wing, second row.
So there's a little bit of versatility there, but
yeah, but this one's
it's
interesting.
A hard match.
You've got Ilias versus Cherry Evans, and I think this will be the key game here.
As of late, Cherry Evans have been having the kicking game on the stream, like pinpoint accurate here, there, everywhere. Barring his error against the Sharks,
you'd have to think there's a bounce back.
Yeah, but also with an upset loss.
The understrength forward pack could also be an issue. And I'm looking at that South Sydney pack. There is size, power, and footwork in this pack.
And they'll be looking to come back from a 1 point loss. A shock upset loss.
Usually, I think the Rabbitohs pack will dominate through the middle, but I also have to think at the same time, if it's a close game, which I think it will, I'm banking on Daly Cherry Evans to steer the Sea Eagles back onto the right course. I got to back Manly in 7 points to 12.
I'm actually going to go the other side of the fence. I'm going to go say South to win by 12 points. There's going to be a close match. Just really comes down to see who's got the ball. Really, the last tackle sets is what it's going to come down to.
It's going to be a close game, but the mad magician professor that is Des Hasler, I just feel like, what's Desi going to pull up this time, eh?
Well, yeah, you never know with old Desi Hasler.
Now, the first of the Saturday games, it's the New Zealand Warriors up against the Canberra Raiders in Redcliffe. We have already shown how embarrassing the Raiders is before armed against the Panthers. But if 36-6 is embarrassing for Canberra, then explain me this. A 70 points, you heard that right, 70 points to 10 loss to the Melbourne Storm on ANZAC Day. Explain that one to me.
Well, before we get on to the second half, the first half was when the Warriors were really sticking to Melbourne. 16-10 down at the break and were scoreless in the second half. They were outscored, what, 10 tries in the second half?
10 tries in the second half, practically going. I think I said off air, it's practically close to a try every 3 minutes they were going at.
Well, I'm pretty sure they scored 3 tries in just about as many minutes. That game was absolutely out of this world. And, make these matters worse, if they got every single kick between Pappenhausen, Meany, Munster and Grant, if they all got their kicks, we could have been talking 82.
Here are the minutes of of all 10 tries Melbourne scored in the second half. 47, 50, 52, 8, 60, 66, 68, 72, 77, 78. No more than 5 minutes between each try, or close to it. No more than 5 minutes between, or 6 minutes. We'll say it even 6 minutes. How unbelievable were the Melbourne Storm in this performance?
All I could do was seriously, when it got up to, where do I start? I mean, when Pappenhausen got his, first try, and Meany got
off the Nelson kick.
Yes. When Pappenhausen and Meany got their first tries, I thought, Warriors could still do this. But then from Pappenhausen's second onwards, I thought, no, this is... All I could do was basically laugh. Like...
I was just like, no way. That's exactly how you react. It was like, oh, no way. And it's like, oh, no way.
Pretty much.
It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. But get this, Xavier Coates, 3 tries in 8 minutes.
David Middleton will probably have the statistic for the fastest hat-trick. I tried asking the question before, when was the last time a second row scored a hat-trick and forced a goal line dropout? Haven't heard back since. That's okay. I get it.
Xavier Coates on his 60th.
Literally trying to decide who the stand-up players for Melbourne Storm was.
Can we just say the whole team?
I could have literally just said the whole team. I just could have just written where I got my notes. All 17 players at the Melbourne Storm.
That's what I'm going to say.
But I've narrowed it down to 2. Ryan Pappenhausen's number 1. 2 tries. 3 try assists. 158 running meters. 3 tackle breaks. 7 from 10 goals converted. And then Xavier Coates.
I was going to say Xavier
4 tries. 200 running meters. 6 tackle breaks. 2 line breaks. But Melbourne were just scoring at will in the second half. That's what they were doing.
It was a training session.
It was more than a training session. The Warriors were basically an under-8 side.
Yeah, pretty much. Can I say, 2 of those Xavier Coates' tries from the kicks down, and he blitzed right down that right-hand side on the far side of the field and scored. It was like unbelievable.
The best decision Xavier Coates has ever made. Join the Melbourne Storm.
A stat that I didn't know until watching his coverage. When he got his 3rd try, that was his first career hat-trick.
And then he scored another try after that, so he's now got 4.
So not only did he get his first career hat-trick, he also got his first career 4 tries in one match.
Yeah, his first quad.
I thought he would have had at least a hat-trick by now when he's playing for Brisbane. But clearly I was wrong. So I learned something new.
Not only that, they have also equaled the highest scoring match Melbourne have ever put on. The biggest one. You have to go all the way back to 2002 at the MCG. 2000, sorry. Very thanks for the correction. 2000 at the MCG in the grand final rematch. Melbourne Storm versus St George Illawarra in only their 2nd season. And we're actually going to bring up the score right here. We're going to resurrect that scoreline from that game for historical record.
It's exactly the same scoreline, 7-10. And how ironic that
Nathan Brown
was in the St George Illawarra Dragons side as a player. This time he is a coach at the Warriors.
It's deja vu 22 years later. It's just like
Melbourne, but in Melbourne at a different ground.
But still in Melbourne.
Yeah.
But oh
And
my!
screw you for bringing that up.
I gotta have a laugh at something.
Yeah, no, I knew it was going to.
I gotta have a laugh at something.
I knew you were going to bring it up, so yeah. But still, screw you.
Now, the changes for the Green Machine. Elliot Whitehead is back on deck after missing last week to a freak accident training and needing plastic surgery. Yes, you heard that one right. So, unfortunately, Harry Rushton will make way for his return. Jared Croker again listed amongst the reserves. And Ricky Stewart persisting with Xavier Savage on the flank and Nickel Cookstad off the bench.
Number of changes for the Warriors, no surprises there.
Yeah, no surprises at all.
Although 2 are from injury. Tini Zalesnia got knocked out by Nelson Solomona's knee, although that was a freak accident, so there was no suspensions there. Josh Curran with a knee injury, Aaron Penner with a suspension, and Ed Cosi has been omitted out of the side, with Rocco Berry coming in and
Viliami Valia.
coming on to the wings with Jack Murphy and Ellie Coutal onto the bench, with Bailey Sirenen moving into the starting side.
As bad as the Warriors got their asses whooped, as well as Dejan Arce being included, having just signed from the Cowboys, or is until the end of the year.
Yes, he has too.
But as bad as the Warriors performed against Melbourne,
I'm going to say this. No team has won a premiership from conceding 70 points or more. I mean,
what are you getting at? Not happening. No
one's conceded. No one's won a premiership from conceding 50 points or more. South came
you
close.
can't make the grand final if you do that twice. But
let alone 50 is hard enough. Try 70.
Yeah, not going to happen. The Warriors,
No.
The Warriors were not going to make the top
8.
The Warriors were never going to win the premiership, let alone make the top 8. But
exactly.
In spite of that, the Raiders are now in a free fall. They have not won a game since March, and we are now.
Was that round 3?
And next week we'll be in May. So, I got to give this to the Warriors 1-6. I am expecting a serious bounce back from Nathan Brown's side here.
And was that in round 3 at home?
Yep.
Because Nino won in round 1 at home.
Yep, they beat the Sharks.
And then they lost in round 2.
And then they beat Gold Coast.
In round 3, so yeah. I'm going to say the Warriors win this one by 14 points.
Yeah, I think the Warriors are definitely going to be coming back in this one. Now, the Canterbury Bulldogs up against the Sydney Roosters.
For the Roosters, Kevin Nagama comes in forward to suspended Daniel Tupou. JWH and Victor Rayleigh are back into the starting 13 with Takihaho and Nat Butcher starting from the bench.
As for the Canterbury Bulldogs, both Jaden Ockenbaugh and Jacob Carraz are both left out of the side. Ockenbaugh because of form, and Carraz rather just unlucky, but they do welcome back Brent Naden and Jake Avarillo into the side. And the 2 changes Trent Barrett has made, as well as Arvasia Manafanai, back on the bench in place of Billy Sorikis. Well,
so the sick dogs are back.
You're just loving that line at the moment, aren't you?
Yep.
Well, the Roosters, they were just not themselves on Anzac Day, going down to the Dragons 14-12.
I was very happy with this result and actually surprised at the result as well. The Dragons' defense, goal line defense in particular, holy smoke.
The Roosters were just going wide and reckless. That was literally the whole shtick of what Gus Gould was saying in commentary. The Dragons give you the illusion of space because... And he also mentioned that that's just the way the Dragons play, this niggling sort of way that is just the antithesis of what the Roosters are.
Yeah, and... just touching on that, the Roosters don't like that sort of play. And somehow the Dragons just do it and annoy the hell out of them.
And that happens most of the time on Anzac Day.
Yes. How ironic.
But this was a champagne Anzac Day rugby league right here.
Yeah. Look, when the Roosters are coming back in the second half, Dragons are absolutely scoreless in the second half. But Roosters coming back like, oh no, we're going to lose it here. Yes, I did tip the Roosters, but of course...
I tipped the Roosters as well.
But I always go for the Dragons, regardless if I tip them or not. But I thought, oh no, this is not going to go well, but we just hung on. Just.
Ben Hunt the captain, the mired multi-million-dollar man, really setting up St. George Illawarra right now. 69 running meters, 2 try assists, 1 offload, and a 40-20.
Just a 40-20.
But the try assists for the Dragons' big men. The first one, the Frank Molo, was surprising enough, and I think even he was surprised that he scored, Frank Molo.
Yeah, he had a rip of a game too. And also, the next try scorer, Jaden Sewer, he was having a ripper of a match.
I rather like Josh Maguire on an edge, to be quite fair.
Yeah.
And this is the second time in 2 weeks that he has not given away a penalty, so you must be feeling good about that.
He's worked on his discipline. I'll say that. You watch, I'll say that now, then he'll be suspended after next week.
Yeah, that would actually be rather funny if that actually happened on Sunday.
But, no, he has learned his lessons. But I have to say, besides Ben Hunt, I haven't got the stats with me, but Jaden Sewer, he had a cracker of a game until he got injured, which was very unfortunate because he was hitting hard and running hard.
And scoring tries.
Yeah.
Now, getting back onto this game, I gotta say, the Bulldogs, I feel like they were very unlucky to have run out of steam because Brisbane just punished them hard in the final 25 minutes, as I said. The Roosters, on the other hand, they threw everything at the Dragons in the second half, but they were still running too far sideways.
Yeah, like you said, from what Phil Good said, the Dragons give you the space, but then they shut it down fast. And I thought that...
How many white jerseys were there to bundle a Daniel Tupou or a Joseph Suwali in the touch?
A fair few. Especially that last one where the Roosters could have won that match at the end. They threw the pass in field until they stuffed it up. Like, that could have been the game winner there for the Roosters, but ultimately the Dragons hung on.
I am looking at this game. The Bulldogs have grown in confidence with their attack. It's starting to become more fluid. Of course, Addo Carr now has 3 tries in 2 games after a very slow start over the first 5 rounds, I should say. But I'm just looking here and I'm just thinking, oh no, the Roosters are going to come out and they're going to beat the absolute ever-loving shit out of us.
You want to block you used to want to know what I want to say.
You're going to say it's a Roosters 13-plus victory, and I agree. As much as I would love to see the Bulldogs get one up over the Tricolours and move off the bottom of the ladder, Trent Robinson's going to light a fire under these Bondi boys, and I feel like we're going to concede the worst ever start in our 87-year history. Well,
yeah, you're right with me going Roosters 13 plus, but they had the precise margin. Block your ears, 38.
Yeah. You can't.
I could have said 70 like Melbourne.
You can't really scare me anymore. I just feel like, yeah, we've already conceded 66 and 44 over the last 2 years. Fucking bring it.
Yeah.
Bring it.
Now, 38 points, I'm going to say, by the Roosters. Just quickly talking about big margins. I said last week the Storm to win by 18 over the Warriors. I should have said, if I said 80, I would have been more realistic.
You would have been pretty close.
Yeah, a lot closer than 18.
Close to it. And the final game from the top end of the country, the Parramatta Eels playing the North Queensland Cowboys. Once again for Todd Payten, the luxury of no changes to his side, but again naming Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow in the reserves.
Is that because of the former Scott Drinkwater?
Well, you told me Payten doesn't see Drinkwater in his best
from
17.
From what I've read, I can't remember from where, but Todd Payten doesn't see Scott Drinkwater in his best 17. As for the Eels, also unchanged from last week's 39-2 thrashing of Newcastle.
This is what happens when the Parramatta Eels cut the errors out of their game. This is exactly what I said needed to happen, and they did just that.
Yeah.
And Newcastle's goal line defence.
Well, even with Dylan Brown in the centres, they cut out a lot of errors.
And I imagine Brad Arthur would get a lot of shtick for having his son play in the halves. But hello, Ivan Cleary does the same thing. Kenny Walters has been doing the same thing as of late. So why is it Arthur's the one getting... Well, I mean, Dylan Brown is probably amongst the 5/8 of the Premiership. But hey, injury crisis. And you know how that meme goes. Modern problems require modern solutions.
Yep. That's true.
But it worked a treat for Brad Arthur. It absolutely worked the treat. The defensive record turned around and the attack flowed.
Well, the only thing that the Eels didn't do right was a short goal line dropout.
Yeah, that was
Which
pretty stupid.
Gifted Newcastle.
That was stupid. That could have turned the game. That could have gave Newcastle that momentum, but thankfully they didn't.
That pretty much gave Newcastle an easy 2 points. And
it was the only 2 points.
And that was it. Everything else was all Parramatta.
Tries conceded for Parramatta in round 7.
None.
Exactly.
None.
But Newcastle, it didn't matter whether it was left or right edge where they are the weakest. Goal line, they conceded 6 tries on the goal line.
Yeah.
Well, you had Sean Lane crash through self-defense. Then you had
Sean Lane offload
for Hayes Perham.
Yeah.
First try in the NRL for him. Then you had Isaiah Papali'i crash ball play and then wrap around. They didn't hold him up. He's just like, oh, you know what, cuz? You didn't hold me up, so there's another 4-pointer for me, yeah? And I'll tell you what, outside of doing bad Kiwi impressions at the moment, he was the standout player for the Eels in this one.
Agree with that
2 tries, 147 running meters, 6 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, 1 offload. And then the audacity of the Eels. Tackle 0, Mitchell Moses decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to put a kick in. And then Will Penasini scores off the back of that.
Yep. But the Eels had that luxury to do that.
They earned the right. Parramatta.
Newcastle was shots, they were crap. So I thought, hey, might as well do something else.
And that's because Parramatta earned the right through their improved discipline from Easter Monday, and they bullied the Knights through the middle. Junior Paulo once again making a difference. And this is a mouth-watering forward pack battle we got going here. You got the boom back rowers, Lukey, Nanai, with really Taumalolo back close to his best, against what I think will be the State of Origin front row pairing, Campbell Gillard, Junior Paulo.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive battle up the middle at this side here. And it's hard to pick who's going to be the better forward pack.
I tell you what,
like
if Mitchell Moses...
Nanai's in good form, Lukey's in good form, Papali'i and Paulo's are in good form, and Taumalolo is getting back to what he was used to be.
If Marty and Moses can get up over the top of Townsend and Robson in the playmaking department off the back of all this go forward...
You mean Deedon? Townsend and Deedon?
No, I'm talking exclusively the halfback hooker combination.
Okay, sorry.
Because it's Marty's combination with Paulo and Campbell Gillard that gets him that quick play the ball. Or going. So then Moses and Gufferson, as well as Brown, can get at playmaking.
Which Brown?
Dylan.
Yeah.
But Nathan does from time to time. But never mind that. This is going to be... I think this will be the game of the round right here. And I'm going to tip the Eels to win this 1-6.
I wouldn't... It's going to be one... I've got 2 games that are rounds. This one's one of them. I'm actually going to say the Cowboys to win this one by 8 points.
So you're calling the Cowboys 7-12 win?
It's going to be close, but I'd say the Cowboys have just got the edge. It's a very tight contest, and like you said, one of the games, well, in my view, one of the games of the round.
I mean, I don't think we got a game of the year contender yet, do we? Oh, well, actually, the Tigers could probably throw their hat into the ring for game of the year contender already.
Both of them against Para and Souths.
ANZAC Day, that's probably already in there already. So it's going to be very interesting what we decide. Now onto the first of the Sunday games. It is the Newcastle Knights up against the Melbourne Storm. No changes for the Storm, but Chris Lewis moves back to the 18th man position and Tyron Wishart back on the bench. Remus Smith has been included, but despite failing his HIA in the first place.
Gay Guy is out from suffering a fractured cheekbone and is replaced by Simi Sasagi, with Brodie Jones also being named despite an elbow injury concern, with Sawafso soon a new man on the bench. 1 word, 2 words.
Melbourne 13+.
Melbourne by 50.
There is literally... We don't have any words right now. I honestly believe with this Newcastle side right now, there is nothing to say about them.
Okay, they did have the off-field disturbance with Callum Pollard's contract. Yes, but now that's been put to bed, there's no excuses.
No
And-
excuses. They've been on a 5-game losing run.
Yeah. And if Melbourne could put 70 against the Warriors, I'm expecting them to put 50 or more. But I'm just saying Melbourne by 50. At least 50.
Another thing I said off here, next year we will update the categories once again like we did before. Also, our categories from next year for margins, 1 to 6, 7 to 12, 13 to 20, and then the new category that'll be added, 21 plus.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is nothing to say. The Knights are in a hole. It's only going to get worse for them. And something's going to change. But moving Kalen Ponga to 5'8", as one benching Marshall suggested.
They have talked about that before, but it won't work.
It
They've
won't-
experimented
it won't
that before.
work. They tried it before. It didn't work. And the Knights paid the result because of it early on in 2019. And that could have been the difference between making the finals and finishing 11th for a second straight year.
Yeah. It doesn't work at all.
But they're not going to win against the Melbourne Storm after this.
No. Knights might as well just forfeit the match right now.
I would forfeit right now to avoid further embarrassment.
Especially in front of the home crowd. For a second
And
week in a row.
finally, on the agenda, the final Sunday game of round 8, it is the St. George Illawarra Dragons up against the West Tigers.
The Tigers team list. You got Stafford Tower at fullback with Dave Laurie out with the knee, and Oliver Gilder and Luke Garner in the centres. Tuolagi returns to the back row after missing last week with illness, with Alex Safar shifting to the bench with Jake Simpkin, his 18th man, and Jacob Little keeping spot at hooker.
The biggest surprise right here, Jack Bird still named at 5'8", despite going down with injury concerns regarding his arm.
Knee, and
Arm
knee.
and knee, where he thought he might have torn his ACL again.
Oh, I was thinking the worst too, don't you worry.
Yeah,
his arm
it was Jack Bird. I was like, oh no, please not again
that's
for
exactly
him.
what I was like. He was having a pretty good game too.
So with no Jaden Stewart, Josh Maguire is named to start in the second row for this game, along with George Burgess in the front row. Tyrell Fui Mayono, the new man added to the bench for Anthony Griffin's side.
This is the other, I'm going to say it, alongside the Eels Parramatta clash, this is the other game I'm going to say is game of the round.
Eels Parramatta clash.
Sorry.
Wow. Wow. Joe Biden over here. Do we need to get you onto a cognitive test?
No. The Eels Cowboys match.
That was satire. It is not political in any way.
Yeah, so Eels Cowboys match is the other game of the round, as well as this one. Both coming off, the Tigers in particular, coming off 2 upset victories by a field goal each. The Dragons outperforming the Roosters, and then beating Newcastle the week before that. So both are on 2 wins in a row.
The key battle in this game, there's 2. It's Ben Hunt versus Jackson Hastings,
Yep.
but it's also Moses Suley versus Luke Garner.
True.
I'm pitting 2 of the Dragons' best edge attackers against one another, and I want to see the results of that.
And also, Amber coming up against his old club for the first time.
Ah, yes, the Waste up against another Waste that has cleaned house almost essentially.
Yeah.
Or it's got their house in order for a change, which is rare for the Tigers.
But, yeah, so... And then Woodsy coming up against his old club too, the Tigers. The first time in Dragons colours also.
After the first time he did it in Canterbury and in Cronulla colours.
Yeah. But Phil Mayona coming back. We haven't seen his name on the bench for a while. Or he's been out suspended as well, so... I'm going to go...
Game management. This will be the big thing. Hunt versus Hastings. And this is a game that is literally going to be on a knife's edge.
Depending on how Jack Bird goes, if he is a late scratch and you got a Monet there ready to rock and roll. And mind you, he showed a bit of good form when he was out there when Hunt got interchanged off during ANZAC Day.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But I'm going to go with the home side, the Dragons, to win it by 6 points. Like I said, it's going to come down to game management with Hunt and Hastings.
Another factor we have to play into this, Dane Laurie's loss for the Tigers is a big loss. They might have won the battle, but they're going to lose the war over the next couple of weeks. I feel like without him chiming into the back line with his passing game, I mean, Stafford Toe is really an unknown at fullback. I mean, he sort of tried to find his place in the centres. I think he was okay on the wing, both at Newcastle and here, but without him, and I think with Moses Mbai, especially with that good ball to Sully, I think I'm with you. I think the Dragons win this narrowly 1-6.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's the second game of the round.
And on that note, that is your NRL Week 8 debrief, all done and dusted. If you like this part, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and click that bell for notifications so you never miss a week of rugby league. We'll join you tomorrow for the Betfred Super League debrief. We'll see you then.